Well, welcome to Buying Local, everyone. I'm your host, Michael Nelson with Five Towers Media. Joined today by the team over at Greenwood Hoff Wealth Management. I'll let you guys go through and introduce yourselves, though, because I constantly, for some reason, I've got some sort of tick where I mess up people's names, even when I know them and they're simple. But I'll let you guys do it instead.
Okay,
Who wants to start? Matt, you
I'll
want to go
go.
ahead and kick it off?
I'll go. Yeah, I'm Matt Greenwood, Greenwood Hoff Wealth Management with Cetera Investors.
I'm Lorissa Hoff with Greenwood Hoff Wealth Management.
And I'm Dana Cafaro. I work for both of these advisors under Greenwood Hoff Wealth Management at Cetera.
Very nice. Dana, I'll be honest, that was probably going to be your last name that I was going to mess up.
It's okay. I've heard every variation. First name's been messed up too. Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you guys go ahead and let's just start and let the listeners and viewers just kind of tell them a little bit about who you are and what each of you does inside your organization.
Sure. I'm the one of the advisors on the team. I've been in the business for coming up on 30 years. In July, it'll be 30 years in the business as a financial advisor, financial planner, and started the team, obviously, and we've expanded from there. We sit down with people and help them with all kinds of financial goals, financial plans, financial needs that they have: retirement, college, life insurance, estate planning, long-term care needs, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. How about you, Larissa? What's your role on the team?
So financial advisor as well on the team. Matt and I can both work with clients and acquire new clients and retain his existing. I've been in the business it'll be 7 years in June. And I really like the aspect of working with clients and going to their homes. That's what we get to do, and it's very nice.
Awesome. Dana, how about you?
I have been with Matt for 17 years, somewhere around there. My title has changed over the years, but my current title is the Registered Practice Operations Coordinator. So I'm licensed to help support all of their clientele whenever they're out in the field. I help with whatever needs to be done. It's very rewarding, in my opinion. I like the variety that comes with our day-to-day tasks.
Yeah. And I know that we're gonna, talk a little bit about kind of the crazy environment that we're in and a lot of the changes that we're seeing and all that fun stuff. But because obviously that everybody wants the magic fairy dust that you guys have, right, for advice. But one of the things that you had said, Lorissa, was that that you go to your homes. Can you guys tell us a little bit about your approach, like when you're working with your clients and with potential clients?
Yeah, when we meet with clients, our office is in Latham, but Matt and I are I'm Saratoga Springs. Matt lives in Glens Falls currently. Most of our clients are up here, but we do service the capital region and other states. But as our day-to-day works, we get a new client or an existing client, we go right to their house. We meet at their kitchen table. Ideally, that's where everything is, meaning anything that they can monetize or statements are already at the home. You don't have to travel to us. We do have the office. We joke that we go twice a month, so why would folks up here want to drive down to Latham? So we'll go right to your home and have a full consultation right at your dining room table.
And that's, it's interesting because in this, in the digital world that we live in, obviously, we're on Zoom right now. And I just, there's a lot of people I would assume that are doing a lot of these kinds of meetings, whether it's the client is going to their office or on Zooms. And like when I've heard you talk about it in the past, it just sounds like it's just a much more comfortable the way to have those conversations, which sometimes I'm sure are great conversations and sometimes maybe not the easiest. Like when you're talking about life insurance, it's always a touchy one. Do you find that like just going to people's homes, like it makes it easier? Like, is that why you guys do it, or?
It is, I think, to Larissa's point, that's where all of their information is. So we're not worried about them missing a statement or missing data. It's in a nice way, we're on their turf. They feel comfortable there. It's their house, it's their dining room table, everything else. And it just helps, I think, I hope, help them realize we're just there to help. We're not, going to be pushy. We're not going to be aggressive. We're here to help and to guide. And it makes it a lot easier on them when they can just open the door, let us in, close the door on their way out, and get right back about their day. But that's how we've always, in my whole career, in the very beginning, used to call like the old family doctor. We make house calls, but it's true. And I like the variety of going to their dining room table versus sitting in an office all day or things like that.
With the new office, the new location, I mean, it's very nice.
It is nice. It is nice. Yeah.
But yeah.
And we
But
do
I
have
imagine being
clients,
in your
we do
home-
have clients come into the office periodically. If they'd rather come to us, that's absolutely fine. We can do that. To your point with technology, we will have Zoom appointments. We have clients, as Lorissa started to say, out of state. Even if they're in state, but they're a ways away, or they would just prefer to jump on a Zoom because same idea, they didn't have to worry about cleaning up the house or making things presentable potentially. They can just have their background look okay and we can jump on a Zoom. Yeah, exactly. So we're comfortable and able to work in any form or fashion. I still prefer the face-to-face where we can, but it is nice from time to time to be able to just have the capability of a Zoom call or things like that, for sure.
Yeah. Matt, what made you 30 years ago get into the industry? Like, how did you end up at being a financial advisor and doing the things that you
I
do now?
started my college career thinking I wanted to be a CPA, an accountant. And I took a college level class in accounting, one or two at SUNY Adirondack at the time, ACC at the time, actually, now SUNY Adirondack, and just realized the accounting side just wasn't for me. I like numbers, I like that side of things, but I didn't like the dryness, the debit credit of accounting, and more of the finance and mapping things out and playing with numbers to a degree just was a lot more interesting. And when I was at Siena finishing my bachelor's degree at Siena, another advisor for the firm had graduated the year before. He was on campus doing interviews, and I sat in an interview and said, yeah, that sounds like what I want to do. Help people plan and map out their futures. That sounds great. I had also thought about, in that transition period, becoming a stockbroker. And the idea, I did an internship at a brokerage firm and realized I don't know a lot of people that could just give me 100 or 200,000 and say, here, play with this. And as a financial advisor, we can start with any small amounts that people might have, young people starting out and saving all the way up to, millions of dollars roll over from a 401k, but anything in between. So it just opened up all the people that I knew, including my own parents, which were my first clients, to say, okay, well, I want to be able to help them, and trading stocks isn't going to do that. So the financial advisor path presented itself, and the rest is history, I guess.
Well, what about you, Lorissa? How did you end up getting into this career path?
I did business economics and finance at SUNY Oneonta, and they really convinced us that we needed to get an internship going into senior year. So I did. I got it at what we were prior to Cetera, which was Forrester's Financial. So I did my college internship the summer prior to my senior year. That's where I met Matt. I got to see firsthand what advisors do, how they help people, how they interact with a client. Really, it was so hands-on. I loved my experience, and I knew seeing what they did, I wanted to do that. And so I made it known that I did want a position and was hired right after I graduated. And I've loved it ever since.
I like how you said that. You made it known that you wanted the position. That's awesome. And Dana, what about you? You said 17 years.
Yeah.
So that's almost, I mean, Matt, that's almost half the time that you've been doing what you've been doing here, that she's been with you. That's quite a long time. What made you get into or start working with Matt?
So I also started with our first company, First Investors. Matt was 13 years in at that point. And I started kind of like as an intern studying for my licenses, was hired to potentially go down the advisor route. And as I graduated, I was like not feeling the advisor route solo myself, but I loved working in the office and I loved the team there, and was offered to join Matt as his assistant, and jumped on. And like I said, my position has evolved over the years and titles changed 1,000 times, but I love what he does, and think it's a great team that we have going, and I yeah, plan on sticking around. Hope so.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and that was going to be my next question too, was, for Dana and Lorissa, you've both been with Matt a long time and working with him a long time. And retention of quality staff is something that's a big problem in the business community these days, right? So I would love to hear what Matt is doing right from your standpoints, as far as like why you're still with him after all these years, other than his devilish personality and rugged good looks. But it is, though. I mean, it's something to have someone that's worked with you for 17 years, or in Larissa's case for 7, and to the fact that it was, they were interns and started that way, and then to be able to bring them on as employees and to have them come up through the ranks and stay with you long. It's not the norm anymore. So I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on what it takes to make that happen.
Do you want to go first, Lorissa?
You can go ahead.
So from my perspective, I think the biggest thing with Matt is that he's a down-to-earth guy. He's not the bossy type. He's very much a team player. And the fact that he communicates well with us and is always open to ideas to grow together. And I think that is what has made me want to stay over the years, and like just the alignment of our values and the way that he treats his clients, and some of which are my own family, because I've referred my own family to Matt over the years. I value that, and I want to be a part of it. And over the years, we've evolved to also add charitable events and things. And I also value what he stands for. So I think the fact, like I said, that our morals align, and both at work and at home, that it fits well. And I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to keep growing here.
Awesome.
Don't make me cry. Just kidding.
I know it's a lot of pressure too. I'm asking this question in front of Matt, right?
We have nothing to hide.
Yeah, no, we have nothing to hide from him.
My journey, I guess, in the beginning was a little different in the fact that I was going down the advisor role and kind of had to prove myself first, build some clientele of my own, and then see if Matt and I matched. And we do. I think I was just talking today that our personalities can be different, but it's a good thing. And we have different traits, but those differences really stand out and complement the other, especially in our team dynamic too, and moving forward. So Matt is great in the sense that he's been my mentor since the beginning, and I do want to create the practice just as how he has it and learn so much from him. So I'm grateful in that sense. And then moving forward as we grow together, I think we've gotten to know each other's personalities, and we're trying to take the strengths and blend them together and keep growing and doing all of the great things.
Yeah.
It is a great way to put it. Yeah. The idea of us being a little different is not a bad thing. We definitely complement each other. She lets it be known when we need to do things, but that's great. I am.
She makes it known.
Makes it known. I am sometimes too easygoing, and we need to make sure we stay on task or stay on, on the plan, on the goals and things. So it's really good. It's been great.
Yeah. And Matt, I'd love to hear from your perspective too. Like kind of the same thing. Like when you brought Dana on, and then you brought Lorissa on. Like when you're bringing people on and then working with them, and I hear you said like you're a member of the team. It sounds like you don't look at it so much as the employer-employee relationship. And just in our conversations, I know that's kind of how you've always made it known to me, was that that was kind of how you looked at it. But what's been your process for bringing them on and then looking to meet their needs over the years to make sure that they're happy and they want to stay.
It is, as I think Lorissa said, or maybe Dana said, like we just communicate. I mean, we talk twice a week as a team about just how the week went, good things, bad things, what needs to be worked on. We meet quarterly outside of that, structurally wise, just to say, okay, what is working structurally? What do we need to tweak or change? What needs to go back to your lane or stay in my lane or those kinds of things. So I hope it's just because we have good open communication and nothing is off the table to talk about. I make the joke and have for years and probably always will that I'm not. I mean, I didn't sign up and want to be in management. I had that option when I was young in my career to open an office up in Glens Falls or do those things, and I realized no, I wanted to stay as an advisor. And now as the team has grown, it's forced me to a little bit of management, but I try to spread that across the team. So it's not just me telling us what we have to do. I try to get input from everyone and all right, we need to figure this out, but what's your input, Dana? What's your input, Lorissa? What do we think we should do here and how should we make this happen the best, going forward? So just open communication, I think, is always has been and ideally will continue to be a big part of what makes us so successful and family more than coworkers. I think we become family and friends and just enjoy each other's company and that shows, I think, to clients as well.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question as well is do you take a similar approach to your clients? Like the people that you work with from a client basis, are you retaining them for long, for decades or more? It's
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've had clients my whole career, not only just family either, but I can think of, high school teachers and neighbors of my parents and things like that have been clients throughout my whole career. And I hope it's just because that's who I am as a person. I learned that from mom and dad, but just be honest, be respectful, help. That's my motto. And I think that I feel confident that comes through to clients. So they don't feel that they're being sold. They don't feel they're being pushed. We're trying to help and guide, and it's gotten easier over the years as we've changed company hands. Our products are now basically unlimited. So it's not that I need to go in and make everybody's square peg fit in this round hole. It's whatever you need. We've got a number of solutions to help you get there. So it's just more about learning the client, understanding their needs and goals, helping them, get to what they want to get to. Yeah, I think the personality definitely comes through. I will joke around on appointments because that's who I am. And I always try to go above and beyond in the help department. There's some things, a lot of what we do, obviously, I'm going to help clients with, but even other things that are outside of that. We've got clients that are dealing with all kinds of different stages in their life. A couple right now that are dealing with Medicaid and that kind of spot. That's not our expertise, but we'll work hand in hand with the attorneys to make sure of what needs to happen. How does it work? What's the next step? Walk the client through it. I was just on the phone call this morning with a client saying, okay, we're going to get through this. Let's not do anything too quick. Let's talk to the attorney. Let's loop them in and make sure what's the next step in the process. I've met with clients, with the attorneys, with the accountants, just to try to help be an ally. My objective, and I learned this early on in my career from senior management at the time, is we want to be the client's go-to phone call. Whenever you need something, call us. And then we'll help you guide you back toward whichever other professional, if we need to loop someone in, accountant, attorney, or whatever it might be, loop them back in. So to try to be that point of contact has always been how I've worked.
Yeah. And Dana, obviously, so you guys have been with the firm or with Matt for a long time. Do you see the same thing with your clients that you're meeting with and dealing with on a regular basis?
Yes. We can answer, I think Dana could also answer that when we have our client events throughout the year and we get to see everyone as a team. So it's not just Matt works with so-and-so and Lorissa works with so-and-so. They know the team, they know the team culture, they know how we work. We have a really strong relationship with most or all of our clients. And it's nice that we do throw in these events throughout the year, whether it's educational or simply fun, and we can keep building those relationships.
Oh, sorry, my dogs are barking if that's coming through, guys. Dana, how about for you?
I mean, I agree with what they both said. I think that, clients appreciate the fact that both they have two advisors to access as well, and that they're, as they both kind of said, that they have different personalities, but their approach to business is the same, or very similar. So they're not going to get drastically different views or opinions when they speak to one versus the other, or to me. So I think that the fact that we're all aligned, clients appreciate that. And I mean, because I've been with Matt for so long, I have clients calling asking how my kids are and how Matt's kids are, how's college, how's Larissa's wedding, how's the house building. Like they all are part of our extended family as well. And it's nice when they call in, as when we call and check on them, or they call in for something and they're like, "Oh, by the way, before I go, what's new? What's going on? Like how's the kids? How's the house?" It's nice to feel like they're more than just a client, that they are our work family extended a little bit. So yeah,
I mean, it sounds pretty great.
it
Sounds like a
is.
good relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I know that we want to talk about, or I know I want to talk a little bit about some market stuff, and I'm sure listeners want to hear a little market stuff too. But one other question I had for you, just about kind of how you work and how it's structured. So, like, you guys do have an office, you're there sometimes, but you're also doing a lot of remote work. What's the remote work for you? Like, do you see impediments to what you're trying to accomplish, or does it, like, how do you handle that whole situation?
No, it's actually gotten easier, and I always try to catch myself here because a lot of it came out of the ease of doing business remote came out of COVID. It forced us when we could not sit at a dining room table and could not bring paper to someone's house to have them sign to do a transaction. The company as a whole, I think, did an amazing job of pivoting really everything to electronic DocuSign signatures. And it just makes it easier that I don't need to go into the office to pick up paperwork for the week and go back into the office to drop off paperwork for the week. So it allows us to work from wherever. Again, our work had always been mostly been done at the dining room tables, but it would come with paper. Here's a stack of paper we need to sign to make this happen. And now because the stack of paper is gone, it allows us to not have to go to the office as much, and just be more remote. So in the very early stages of my career, I will be very honest, the remote was harder because I wouldn't be in the right frame of mind if I should be working, right? As a 22-year-old kid, 23-year-old guy, I'm like, oh, I don't have an appointment till 1 o'clock. I can sleep in and do what I want to do. Obviously, as a business owner and as I've grown in the business, you realize pretty quickly like that doesn't keep the business going and the lights on and the doors open. So the motivation is always there now. I feel weird when I have a little time off to go do something during the week because I'm like, I should be working. I'm supposed to be doing something. But the remoteness of it is always great because we can just pop in or out of a doctor's appointment, but then have an appointment with a client right after or something. It's really nice that way.
Yeah, I feel like the ease of having all those extracurricular activities become a little more accessible, right?
Right.
Instead of, yeah. And how about, do you miss scanning all those documents? I'm sure there was a time and place when you had to scan all this stuff into a computer of some sort.
No, it was worse. I mean, in the very beginning, or for a lot of years, I say worse, it was the stack of paper. Our office manager was just talking about this the other day because it was a stack of paper that then would land in like a to be processed bin. And the process was him taking it out, looking at every page, making sure every I is dotted and T is crossed, and he'd have to sign it in a spot. And then we would physically send the paperwork to back office to get processed. It would overnight it every day or a couple days a week, but it was all paper and it was all like looking at the paper and processing it that way. And I mean, that's how the industry was for a lot of years, but I'm glad we caught up with DocuSign.
Yeah. So I want to, obviously, when it comes to like specific market situations and conditions and strategies and all that stuff, there's a lot of factors, right? The answer, it depends, probably comes out a lot, right? When someone's like, should I do this? And it's like, well, it depends on this. But so I don't want to get into obviously too many specifics, and I'm sure there's things that you're not really able to answer. But when it comes to like the environment we're in right now for financial planning and wealth management, there is so much information out there that is contradictory, and it seems like things are changing very quickly with whether it's tariffs today and no tariffs tomorrow, and all these different things that are going on. How do you guys navigate those waters on a day-to-day basis when things are so volatile and changing so quickly?
It really does come down to not only our personal approach, but having a personal plan for each client. I'll share a story of a client that I picked up a couple of years ago, and it relates to everything we're talking about and maybe a little bit more, because over the last 2 years, he was planning for retirement. He's going to retire here at the end of May. And when I first met him as a client, he was very nervous about what's going to happen. Is he going to have enough? Is it going to last? All of these things. And because we just developed a really nice plan that he can go online and look at whenever he wants to and see how much money is in this conservative account, and that's what we'll grab from first. And how does this strategy going to map out and work out over 30 years of retirement as the tariffs on and off and on and off have gone, and everything, has been happening in the markets really just the last 6 months, but it always happens. There's always something that's going to make the markets move up or down. But it put him at ease. I just met with him recently and his wife recently, and he thanked me. And they've only been clients for 2 years, which was very nice because he was definitely a lot calmer leading up to a retirement, days away. And he was like at peace and ready to go, even though the markets still tend to be a little volatile because we have such a solid plan in place. And I think that's the biggest part of what we do. It's not trying to time the market perfectly. We may not have the best possible performing fund in a certain space all the time, every time, but it's having a game plan that we can all look at together and make sure, like, look, this is how it's going to work. Well, what if I need 10 grand for this? Okay. And we factor that into the plan and move forward. So that's my approach and has been throughout, is to help them focus more on a plan, which makes more sense because that's what we're doing anyway, versus the ups and downs of the market.
Yeah. Lorissa, Dana, would you have anything to add to that?
I think it's just the client can be so emotional, and it's their money, it's their nest egg. I think it's completely fair. So I think we're a really nice sounding board of, we're releasing that emotion. What is going on in your current life? And focus on that. Do we need to make a change? Are you retiring? Are you changing jobs? It's not so, like Matt said, timing the market. It's what's going on in your personal life, and do we need to make a change because of that? Because overall, we meet at least once a year, and the plan should be set up already in place for the expectation of whatever they're anticipating happening in their life. That if a tariff happens or if the market has a correction, that they're okay. It won't matter. So it's just leveling expectations, kind of bringing them back down to earth of, this is what we have set and you're okay, and we're going to keep going. We're going to ride out the storm. Or if they did need money, then it was conservative anyway. And if the market did tank, their assets are okay because they're there and they didn't take along with it. So that's the cool part, I think, about what we do.
And that's something I'll add back again, Mike, because people will ask, oh, you must be getting bombarded with phone calls and emails and things. And we do get some, but we do not get bombarded, I think, because we do a good job of leveling those expectations on the appointments when we're meeting with clients or talking to clients throughout the year, so that they know whatever happens, we've got a plan. And every time we do have to, at least from my perspective, I think it's the same for both of us, when we have to call back clients and help navigate a scary time for them, it's never a big struggle. They just want to hear from us. They just want to know, like, okay, so I was right. I just wanted to hear it from you guys. I just wanted to hear that we're okay and we're still on track. So it gives me a lot of joy just to think of that, the trust that our clients put with us, which we truly, truly appreciate. And we don't take that for granted by any means, but I think it's because we have a good plan, a good structure, and we're not acting on those emotions. That's where people get in trouble, is sell when it's down and get greedy when it's up. No, we've got to stick to the plan. you know what, how's this going to work out long term? So.
Sounds awesome. Dana, did you have anything to throw in there too?
I think that they both summed it up perfectly. I mean, honestly, just being there for the clients to vent to sometimes and hear the reassurance that they're going to be okay is sometimes all they need. You know, it's that reminder, like, we didn't put your money in an aggressive portfolio knowing that you needed it within the next year or two. Like, that doesn't make sense. So don't worry if the market just took a 1,000 point dip. Like, you're okay. We don't need that right now. It's just that, like Lorissa said, that, you know, the reminder of it's going to be okay.
I'm curious, are there any, you know, obviously we've had this huge crypto craze, let's call it, with all the cryptos getting added to the market and everybody's Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And I'm just curious, you know, as we were talking about before, maybe before we were recording, you know, like in our industry and marketing, things are changing constantly and we're having to adapt marketing strategies to new technologies and new trends and new buyer behavior and all these different things. I'm just curious, you know, and maybe it's crypto or maybe it's not, but maybe it's something else. When you're formulating these plans for folks, what does it look like for you? As I'm sure they're asking you about this stuff, right? I'm like, you know, they're curious, they're hearing all the news and reading all the articles. What does it look like for you when there's something new, whether it's a new ETF or a new crypto, whatever it may be? Like, how do you start to look at plans and address those changes and those questions?
And I've had it over my whole career, and yeah, crypto is the current one, but all kinds of different trends or stages. You know, Sirius XM was going to be huge when Howard Stern switched over to Sirius XM. It was going to blow up. You know, all these things. So individual stocks, crypto, and it's just I always bring it back to help remind people, like when it's something that's that volatile, that specific. It's not by any means going to be a big part of your plan. It can be a piece, but it should be monies we could afford to lose. And that's a weird phrase from a financial advisor, but if it goes south, that individual stock, or you made the wrong bet on the wrong crypto, I don't want it to blow up your whole plan. Our job is to not let it blow up the whole plan. So I've always, I think of my parents back in the late 90s, and a good friend of hers was in a different fund, not with us. And my mom called me and said, "Oh, so-and-so uses this fund. Can we put," I'm like, "Yep, we'll put $3,000 there and we'll see what happens." Because it went up dramatically in the late 90s, and then the early 2000s came and the market crashed, and that $3,000 basically disappeared. But it was $3,000. It wasn't their whole plan. So we try not to, I say we try, we don't jump on the today fad or the today this or the today that. Yes, people bring up crypto, and I say the same thing I just said there, is that it can be a piece. If you want it to be a small piece, you'll navigate that, you know, E-Trade or something like that, and buy a little bit if you want to, but just be prepared. If it goes south, you know, it doesn't blow up your plan. So as much as things change, the fundamentals can stay the same, which is don't panic, and the emotional buying, the emotional selling, the getting on the trends. And I get it, you know, if you get in Microsoft when it's out of the garage or whatever it was, yes, you can be a billionaire today or something, multimillionaire for sure. Those are hard things to find. The get rich quick is hard to find, and find the right one, the shooting star. So we're much more slow and steady wins the race. Let's just the tried and true. Let's get you there. We can help with some of those aggressive ones, but it's just being prepared in case they don't work out, I think, is the key.
Yeah. What are some of the more tried and true strategies that people are implementing these days? I know it's specific to a person, but
well, I don't know. I don't mean to keep hogging, Larissa. If you want to jump in, go ahead. Definitely, and it's been great over my career to watch that whole evolution change, because where it used to just be individual funds and we build a portfolio and have to worry about trying to rebalance ourselves, now much more actively managed, what they call advisory portfolios, where whatever the fund family or fund families, they're actively managing and rebalancing the account as the market is moving. So the idea that as the stock portion of the portfolio goes up, they're going to sell some when it's high, sell at the high, to keep it in the right alignment, the right breakdown or risk tolerance that you want to have. And when the stock market dips, they're going to sell off some of the bond part of the components of the portfolio to buy more stock funds on sale. So you're buying low and selling high all the time as the market's moving. And that's always some comfort to me to give to clients when we go through these things. I'm like, I know your accounts have taken a little bit of a hit, but we're not just buying and holding and hoping things turn out okay. These money managers are taking advantage. They're buying these things when they're on sale, which is great. So that's what I mean by the tried and true. And there's a lot of different fund families we can,
Yep.
and we do monitor and look at and decide which ones to use. But the overall idea of these actively managed accounts where the money is getting taken care of and managed in all of our sleeps is a phenomenal thing. So that's really helped quite a bit.
Lorissa, did you have you wanted to add something to that?
I think it's really neat that Matt and I can fire or hire the money managers as we see fit with our clients. So I think like Matt said in the beginning, our tool belt is expansive and we have access to pretty much everything out there. So the thing that we put you in today might not be the thing that you stay in. And that's just our approach of you have a layered service model where you have Dana on our team, but we also have the money managers and we have the other solutions or other companies that we have access to that we are talking to make sure everything I always like to say to clients is we're your personal shoppers in that space, trying to get you the best of what fits your plan. So that's the only thing I would add.
And who, I guess I should have asked this before maybe, but who are some of the people that you typically are working with? Like I'm sure that you can work with people in a lot of different stages and life events, but do you find that there's like a common theme with the people? Are they of a certain age? Are they certain tax bracket? I don't, who do you typically work with?
I've always fought against trying to pigeonhole like this is, I mean, everybody has an ideal client, and I'll give you that in a second, I guess, but the idea we want to try to work with everyone. And that's why one of my big reasons for adding Lorissa onto the team or looking for someone at the time and finding Lorissa, which was great to add onto the team, because yes, our ideal client is maybe on the verge of or a few years before retirement. They've got a good amount of assets. They've saved it up and now they just need help with the distribution phase. How does this all going to work out 30 years of retirement? So that's maybe the ideal, and it can come from any profession. But I've been asked over the years at different times to maybe find a minimum, and you shouldn't deal with clients that are this small or that small. And I've always pushed that aside because you never know. And it's my personality of wanting to help everyone. So the adding on of Lorissa years ago, and at some point we'll have to add yet again, so that when a good client of ours says, can you help my son or daughter get started saving at $50 a month into a Roth IRA, it's always going to be a yes. At least from my mouth, I always want it to be a yes, because they deserve help and they deserve to get started saving, and they deserve the same. We're not necessarily going to sit down with them once or twice a year and map out a plan at 24 years old, but to get them started saving is a great thing. And I always want that to be a yes. So, Larissa, any different thoughts?
Yeah, well, and then Dana, I know that you work with a lot I mean, you all work together on all the clients. What do you see with clients on a day-to-day basis as far as who they are, or what walks of life, or things like that?
They come from all walks of life. I think yes, we have a wide variety of clientele, and it's kind of refreshing, honestly, to see from all different aspects and just to keep an open mind. And I think just to add on to what Matt said, the best part of building the clientele that we have is watching the evolution of generational planning over the years, and how Matt mentioned, like, he brought on Lorissa to help build that up. He didn't like kind of go into that more, but the fact that yes, he may have picked up the parents when he was in his 20s, but since then he may have also acquired their parents or their children. So the fact that he's helping potentially 3 generations of one family financial plan and plan out for their future and their children, grandchildren, et cetera, et cetera. It's really a unique place to be in the business, is to be able to see that evolve and continue to evolve as our team grows. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to be able to have that depth
Yeah.
in the generations. And Lorissa, what about for you? So obviously, when you've been coming on, you've been bringing in clients and adding to the portfolio. Are you seeing any trends or any kind of specifics from the people that you bring in or that you're working with?
I mean, mine's the same. I mean, my ideal client is Matt's ideal client. We definitely specialize in retirement planning. So, it's nice when we have those 55 to 65-year-olds ready to retire and wanting that income plan. But I do see, I think every generation, and that's, I guess, what's fun about our job is that every week I'm seeing someone of a different demographic. So I could see someone who was 70 yesterday and see a couple in their 40s that are trying to get their kids to college. So it gives us variety. It makes it fun. All the stories we could tell.
Oh boy.
Yes.
But we do
Yeah,
see anyone and everyone, and I do think it's nice. We don't have a minimum. I mean, I just sat with this household was referred to us from a client that Matt has had their family for X amount of years, and they have money, but they sat with someone else and they made it known that they do have a minimum. And just that they said that, they were like, nope, that's not for us because wife has X amount. So it's definitely interesting. I definitely think we do it right.
I know that we're getting short on time, guys, and I don't want to keep you, but I want to ask just one last question. I'll have all three of you answer it. But, if you were going to give someone one reason to work with you and your team, what would that reason be?
I'll start.
We'll start with Lorissa. Or Matt, we'll start with Matt. Sounds good.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go last?
No, not at all.
Okay. I think it's because we care. We're not there to sell you anything. We're not there to push you anything down your throat. We're here to help, and we care. And our objective is your objective. Our goals are your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? But we will walk you through every step of the process. We're here to hold your hand in the bad times and give you high fives in the good times and whatever it takes to get to what you want to accomplish. But I think that personal touch that we care makes us different.
My next.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
I mean, I've heard Matt say that from the very beginning, and even from when I started and everything I learned becoming an advisor, it's such a learning curve in the very beginning, and I just was so excited to help my family, like Matt said, of so many folks have all of these things going on in their everyday lives, and they're missing out on some things that could just be so pivotal for their future. And the fact that I know that, we know that, it's just exciting to go into a household and see what's going on and be able to tweak it to be able to make an impact. Like Matt said, and I've never felt like a salesperson ever. If you want our help, great. If you don't, that's okay too, but we're here.
Dana, how about you? Last but not least, Dana.
I mean, I was going to say that we care, but I also think that a factor that you get 3 different people to help with, potentially more soon in the future. But you have 3 people on your team in your corner that you can reach out to at any time to help. Like, we're all here for you. You don't have just one person that you have to wait to hear back from. There's 3 of us here. So ideally you're going to hear back from one of us within 24 to 48 hours. So it's kind of an added bonus that you may not get with other advisors.
team approach.
Yeah, we are a team.
If you guys or if people listening or watching want to learn more about you, or they want to get a hold of you to have them to have you take a look at their stuff, where do they find you guys?
GreenwoodHoff.com.
I'll let Dana answer. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
No, you've got it. Greenwoodhoff.com. It's got all of our contact information, our bios, calendar of events, educational information, everything you
Wedding
would need.
calendars.
Yeah, you can book appointments with us right from the website. So
You can also call me, my direct line. I have both of their calendars. I can help get you booked.
Awesome. And are you guys
And
on the social medias?
Yes, they are. They're on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're working on expanding that a little bit more, but yes, you can find we have a team page on Facebook, and then they have individual pages on LinkedIn.
And I know we didn't get to it, but we should mention before we part, just, if anyone's interested, these guys do a lot in the community, a lot of different community events locally. And I know that you put a lot of that stuff on your social media as well. So if any of you are looking to learn more and want to see some of the community impact that these guys have, that has nothing to do with them making money, just has everything to do with them giving back to the community, please check out their social media. And you can see some of the pictures and some of the things they post up there on that as well. So, and some of it's on the website too. So,
yes.
I think that's one of the things I liked about you guys the most since I started working with you was just how community involved you are and how much you guys do for the people around you. So, on behalf of them, thank you.
The line I always say there, Mike, just to share quick, is I feel if you can, you should. Meaning, if you're able to give back, you should. And that's the motto that I live by, and therefore we do. So.
I love it. I think it's great. I think more people should have that mentality, Matt. So, what a world it would be, right?
Yes.
Thanks again, guys, so much for coming on, taking the time out to talk to me and talk to our listeners and our viewers, and really appreciate you and what you do and how you do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Enjoy the day. Thanks so much. And thanks everybody for listening. Of course, you can find this podcast and our other podcasts on Spotify, Apple, Rumble, and YouTube. And of course, you can read every month in our print edition. You can read our market update that we get from the team here at Greenwood Hoff. And thanks everybody for listening, and you'll hear from us next week.